Welcome back to this launch event for IHI, talking about what we're going to do with healthcare for the next decade or so. And we're going to talk to you now, the partners involved in this initiative and the supporters from the different institutions as well. So I have a great panel lined up for you. And as always, we want to get your questions and we'll do our best to answer as many as possible in the next 60 minutes or thereabouts. First of all, I have a question for you, the audience. We have a poll that you should be able to see on your screen asking, what is the biggest challenge facing healthcare in the next decade? Give us your thoughts on that. It's multiple choice, so select which one you think is the biggest deal, and I will get our panellists to reflect on your answers as well when we've heard from their opening statements. But let me introduce to you our first speaker is Jean-Éric Paquet, who is Director General from DG Research and Innovation at the European Commission. Joining us as well, we have Bernd Bieber, COCIR President and Senior Vice President for Direct Sales at Siemens. We have Serge Bernasconi, Chief Executive Officer of MedTech Europe. Claire Skentelberry is Director General of EuropaBio. Silibia Kulici is Executive Director of Vaccines Europe. Natalie Moll is Director General at the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Before we begin any panel discussion, I want to give the floor first to Jean-Éric Paquet. Jean-Éric, give us your opening thoughts, your reactions, your statements, and your hopes.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks a lot. I think the first thing to say is that I'm delighted that we are now publicly launching the Innovative Health Initiative. This was in the making in the last few months, with many of you also listening in this morning. So I think I should start by warmly congratulating all teams involved in preparing and setting up this new joint undertaking, particularly, of course, to my fellow panel members, which are teaming up in this Innovative Health Initiative. This is building, of course, on the well-known and highly impactful IMI partnership, which was, I think, the largest public-private partnership in life science at global level. And the Innovative Health Initiative, of course, follows in these footsteps. We are trying to take the best from the previous setup, but then, of course, broadening it with a much larger membership beyond the pharma industry, reflecting the very broad nature of health-related industries dealing with our health challenges. And I must say, this is really a particularly welcome development, driven, I think, both by strategies at EU level in between the Commission and member states, with also a lot of input from the Parliament. The need to look not just at treatments, but also at a broader prevention and diagnosis strategy with all available instruments, and the interest from industry itself. I mean, the pharma industry to team up with new partners, and many of you which decided to join. So I think the starting point is super solid. The ambition is extremely high. And I think the expectations are really very, very high, including, and that's maybe the last feature I would like to underline, including with the setup which will allow us to work much better with patients and doctors. I mean, this is not a completely novel feature, but we are really bringing it to the next level with the Innovative Health Initiative. I think it only makes sense that public policy actors and industry make choices which are fully informed by the needs of patients and by the medical profession. In the end, treating a patient is essentially not done by us, but by a doctor. So they are really absolute key players in prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. So that setup, I think, is going to be also extremely impactful in driving the outcomes which we hope from the Innovative Health Initiative. I finish by saying that I would like also in my short opening to thank Pierre Meulien, which is the present Executive Director of IMI and will allow the new joint undertaking to now kick off. Pierre Really warm thanks on my side and from my teams for the great work done. Pierre will be with us for another few months, and we will then appoint a new executive director, and I'm finishing with that. I hope there will be maybe now in the audience, but around us, many talented managers which would be interested to lead this very exciting joint undertaking. So we will, of course, publish in good time. This will be very much publicized, and I hope that there will be many of you in all genders, if I can say. I very much hope that we will have talented female candidates in great numbers, so that we have a wide range of choice when the executive director is then appointed by the Commission and the board of the joint undertaking. So watch that space, interested, talented managers across Europe. Thank you very much, Jennifer. That's what I wanted to say at the outset. Irene Norsted, who is really the real player. I'm just the Director General. The real player in health policy will join the panel for the discussion and replace me for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean-Eric, and thank you for taking the time. We hope next time that we will all be able to meet in person. But let me turn now and give the floor to Bernd Bieber. Bernd, can we hear you and see you? Give us your thoughts and why you're involved.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jennifer. I hope you can hear me well. Very warm welcome from my side, and thanks for having me at this panel. I'm really proud and also honored to represent COCIR and its members, national trade associations and major companies from the healthcare industry at this event. From my point of view, this is the first time that health sector really have organized a research and innovation collaboration across the entire health continuum. That is really of great and utmost importance for us. And also the timing for this cross-sectoral collaboration, from my point of view, is over you. You mentioned the challenges that the healthcare systems are facing. We don't want to repeat all of this. Growing and aging population, rise of chronic diseases, spiraling costs, too little access and too little capacity in both aspects, human resources that are available in the system as well as equipment. We still see huge unequal access to care across European regions. And the healthcare system in many countries still lacks digitalization, which is really absolutely required to optimize healthcare and to keep it sustainable at the same time. COVID-19 has shown the importance of a real resilient, well-equipped healthcare system, and it has also shown the value of an innovative health industry that can really answer to these kind of crises and provides the right responses in short time. Intensive collaboration across the health continuum of all relevant actors is a precondition, simply because the challenges that we all see, that we mentioned, that you've mentioned as well, are multi-sectoral in itself, and that can only be addressed and solved in a joint effort with aligned forces. Teaming up between different sectors from that point of view is absolutely key to finally make a difference for citizens, healthcare systems, healthcare professionals, and of course also for the industry itself. And let's not forget, close to my heart, we are not innovating for the sake of innovation. Each innovation has to create value, and innovation is of no value at the end if it's not deployed. Hence, collaboration with the healthcare professionals and with patients is essential from the beginning to ensure acceptance, final uptake, and deployment of innovation in healthcare systems. If it's not deployed at the end, it's of no value. So COCIR is excited and proud to be a founding partner of the Innovative Health Initiative. Our members are fully committed to delivering highly innovative technologies to patients and physicians. Our contribution to this partnership lies in the strong research and innovation expertise that our members bring to the table, to the entire healthcare innovation ecosystem. Our members, COCIR members, on average invest roughly 10% of their annual revenue into R&D. The participation hence makes a real difference, be it with medical imaging, in radiation therapy equipment, with ventilators, software and prototypes, or the significant know-how how to turn health data into patient-centric information, how to turn data into insights and at the end make helpful information for patients. So the goal quite clear, innovation that adds real value for healthcare providers, and with this, and the life of European citizens, provide better detection and earlier diagnosis, develop better treatments to improve mortality rates, support patients better in their recovery and rehabilitation, and last but not least, improve workflows so doctors and nurses can focus on what really matters, caring for the patient. So thanks for your attention, thanks for having me, and looking forward to the discussion in the panel.
Thank you very much, Bernd, for that. You've really outlined exactly what we were hoping to hear from you today. We're going to turn now to Serge Bernasconi. Serge, really interested to hear what you say because you're representing MedTech Europe, and this is part of the key evolution from the old IMI to the new IHI. So give us your thoughts, please.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jennifer, and hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to start by thanking, obviously, everybody who's contributed to make this happen. I can remember about starting this process over 6 years ago, trying to have extensive discussion, particularly with the DGRTD, trying to explain that if we want to really move forward in the future, it has to be much more inclusive of all the different segments of healthcare, to which obviously medical technology is a significant one. And when I talk about medical technology, I'm not only talking about simply MedTech Europe, 200 members, but obviously also what Bernd just talked about, the domain, which goes much further than simply what we do at MedTech Europe, but also radiotherapy or medical imaging and so on. I think it's exciting to see that now we have a really global approach now to what we need to do in Europe to stimulate systems, to better serve patients, to better serve healthcare professionals. Now, there is a few things I like to say is, first of all, my little concern, and I could not avoid saying this. I've seen some advertisement recently claiming that, basically IHI was just a change of name of IMI. I think if that's the case, then we're in a big, big mistake. I think that the approach of IHI, what makes it so exciting is that it's everybody looking at what we can do better in Europe. So it's an extremely inclusive approach where whether it is medical technologies, pharma, vaccines, everybody is now looking at what can we do to improve the overall system. How can we best serve patients at the end? How we can best serve also healthcare professionals and provide them with the innovation that they need to better treat patients. I think IHI gives us the opportunity to go much further than what we've done in the past. I think that because it's a more global approach, we can start searching into something more than just hard science. I think it gives us the opportunity to look at our environment. What can we do to improve our environment in terms of healthcare? Can we go now and look and search into the domain of trying to understand why our system is working the way it is working and what can we do better? A couple of simple things. Now, we talked a lot about digital. Now, do we fully understand what are the true challenges today to make digital much more than what it should be? Who are we leaving behind with digital? We can talk about data. We can search more about data. Is the current environment of data the most open to be able to move forward innovation. We can talk about access to healthcare, the inequalities of healthcare. Why do we have this in Europe still? So I think that the whole aspect of IHI for me is, thanks to the fact that it's multi-sectoral and everybody's got an interest in all different aspects, allows us to go much broader in scope than what we've done in the past, understand what we need to do with our innovation in the future, how can we make this innovation have a faster access, better access to the patient that need them. I think that if we lose that scope, then it will be a real issue for IHI. So I hope very strongly that IHI gives us the opportunity to look broader, larger, deeper, and into domains which are not only hard science. Not to say that we do not have to continue to understand better disease, which, by the way, the fact that we're now all together into this will give us the ability to look at the full pathway of the disease, going from the diagnostic, going from the the medical imaging that allows you to know things better, to the different opportunity to provide different kind of treatment, whether they're radiotherapy, whether they are drug treatment, whether they're medical devices, and hoping that we can do that in a full open mind, not just to try to protect each other little kind of field, but a much more global approach. If we're able to do this, I think we will better understand what we need to do to have a much stronger system across Europe, much more resilient system, which will hopefully find solution to improve access to treatment for patients. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to better understand. So I think it's opening a totally new era. It is not an old IMI becoming a new IHI. It is something for me totally new, which hopefully we will be able to also, as a group managing IHI, understand the change we need to make to have a different approach. That's what we're looking for. We're very excited. I mean, obviously, this is like, this is the wedding party here. Now, the challenge for us is going to make sure that, the wedding goes on, and it's actually a good one on the long run. So looking forward, this is going to be exciting. We will discover all together how we need to make things work. I think we will discover and understand things much better in the very close future.
Thank you very much for those thoughts. I'm going to hand over quickly now to Claire Scantlebury from EuropaBio. Claire, are you excited as well?
Thanks very much indeed, and I can hope you can hear me okay. So my name is Claire Scantlebury from EuropaBio. I'm the DG, and we are really excited about IHI because this is the first time that we've become involved as an industry association in a public-private partnership such as this. And we represent biotech companies from across all sectors. So IHI timing is perfect for our members because biotechnology, it not only delivers next generation therapies, but it's also changing production process throughout medicine's development as part of Europe's transition to a sustainable and competitive economy. And we also represent many smaller and mid-sized companies, as Pierre mentioned earlier. And now these guys have the opportunity to be right at the core of large-scale collaboration within IHI. Because this is incredibly important because you see with COVID, it's demonstrated yet again the strength and agility that comes from smaller biotechnology companies, particularly as they bring emerging technologies. And the valuable traits of agility and ambition that they bring can really be harnessed in the core of the IHI industrial partnership. And the membership, the benefits that we see from IHI in terms of an expanded partnership are really high because you see very good diversity of technologies and skills now within the core industrial partnership. From a biotech perspective, this broadens access to advances across all therapeutic areas, and that could only be good for patients and healthcare systems. So this includes across unmet needs, improved disease prevention, and of course, disease management. And this also helps to build a competitive and mature pathway for companies in Europe. So bringing our own amazing research base through to patients and markets. So it really brings the full benefit of what Europe can offer. So EuropaBio would like the impacts from IHI to be a combined approach to improved healthcare. We're really finding the benefits from early convergence of technologies, which are then developed with guidance from strong patient and healthcare ecosystem input. So our own contribution from EuropaBio will hopefully be excellent biotechnology, of course, including from inside the digital space, plus representation from really up and coming companies from all over Europe. So it includes ambitious young companies with really next generation technologies and expanding mid-sized companies that are really amplifying their impact into healthcare systems. So we're really looking forward to it and can't wait to get to work.
Thank you very much, Claire. That was short and sweet, but absolutely to the point. Thank you very much. I'll turn it now to Sibylia Kulici, who is the Executive Director of Vaccines Europe. Busy time for you. So why are you giving up it to join IHI and continue the great work that they're doing?
First of all, thank you for making this event happen. Indeed, it's really timely. I mean, we are very excited about the start of IHI. I mean, because we know that public-private partnership in health prevention deliver value to people. With the COVID-19 pandemic, vaccines have, as you said, never been so much in the spotlight. And I think that everybody that is connected today see the complexities that goes with delivering safe and efficacious vaccines from end to end, the importance of continuous research and innovation across the product life cycle, but also that the full value of vaccines can only be achieved if they actually reach the arm of the people. And this is really critical. So with IMI, the experience that we have, Vaccines Europe members have, they've been involved actually in 20 projects. There has been 14 vaccine-focused consortia launched through IMI in 2020. And these projects have received similar in-kind contributions relatively to the non-vaccines project. And this demonstrates really the importance that is given to public-private partnership by vaccines companies and the substantial support from the vaccine sector, which is only a segment of the pharma industry in Europe. And because vaccines are extremely complex biological products to develop and deliver, we know that scientific and technological solutions from end to end cannot be developed and delivered in isolation. So if I go back to this project through IMI, it's been mentioned already this morning by Pierre Melien, but it's worth repeating actually that IMI delivered actually significant contributions to the vaccines R&D innovation in Europe and beyond. We have already seen implemented in the fights against global health threats such as Ebola and COVID-19. We have an approved Ebola vaccine regimen for the prevention of the disease. This was accompanied by building capacity in Africa to deal with the Ebola outbreak as well. From IMI, again, we have 2 vaccines projects that have been right away implemented to tackle the COVID-19, whether it is VAC4EU, that is a sustainable legacy of IMI Advanced project, which helps the European Medicine Agency to gather real-world data on COVID-19 vaccines and treatments when they are approved and being used on a daily clinical practices, or whether it is COVID Drive, out of IMI Drive, which again monitor COVID-19 vaccination programs for public health institutes in Europe and assess brand-specific COVID-19 vaccines effectiveness for the companies as part of their regulatory obligation. And the value of this in ensuring that only safe and efficacious vaccines are delivered is clear. So these are major success story that needs to be highlighted. And IHI brings the opportunity to continue improving our efforts in prevention of communicable, but also non-communicable diseases and better protect people's health. Effective control and even elimination is a possible target for many infection-related diseases and cancers, but requires a comprehensive and, where possible, personalized solution from prevention to care. We are experiencing it today. I mean, to combat SARS-CoV-2, we need safe and effective diagnostic tools, vaccines, treatments, but we also need innovative solutions so that the tools actually effectively reach the people. And there is no doubt that both prophylactic and therapeutic vaccines, with the potential to prevent or even cure communicable and non-communicable diseases, will continue to be fundamental to public health in the future. And last, and going back to the point I raised earlier, with regard to this notion that the full value of vaccines can only be achieved if they reach the arm of the people, it is really critical. We saw today that is so complicated, and we need innovative solutions there as well, whether it is based on artificial intelligence, digital technologies, big data, personalized medicines. We need innovative solutions to build trust in science, so people can make informed decisions on why it is important for them to be vaccinated or to have access to prevention. And this can only be achieved if we join forces across the sectors. So if I can make a wrap up in conclusion, public health potential is absolutely huge when we talk about prevention of infection-related diseases and cancers. And I don't even touch on the economic value of all of it, but it really requires a cross-sectoral vision, a strategic European roadmap to deliver on the challenges we are facing today with infectious diseases in Europe and beyond, because viruses have no borders. Now we know that. And we are very excited as well to join IHI to find innovative solutions that will ensure access to essential prevention measures. Thank you.
Thank you, Sevilla. Let me turn now to, last but not least, Natalie Mall. As one of the founder members of IMI, what are the lessons and the challenges and your expectations for IHI?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I'm really excited. I love launches, and I especially love launches of things that I know will work. In fact, the fact that we were founding members of IMI in 2008 made us change our mission as EFPIA in the years. And now our mission is to create collaborative environments that enable our members to innovate. And this just tells you how it's become completely part of our DNA to work in a collaborative way. And we're excited. I'm going to try and summarize in three reasons. Most importantly, because we know that by joining forces, we can and will deliver more for patients and society. There's no doubt in our minds for that. We also think the launch is very timely, considering that it supports both the recovery post-COVID, Europe's recovery post-COVID, the industrial health and innovation strategies that we have, but also because we know that IMI worked really well, and the public-private partnerships are a must. So those are the three reasons that that underpin the excitement that I have today. And the first and most important one really is that we know that we need this integrated perspective, and people before me have mentioned, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but to address the patient's journey in healthcare, which is not just about his or her disease, but everything that they experience in that journey, from prevention, diagnosis to treatment. We need to work together to deliver timely on those areas of prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. We owe it to patients to work together. And we really think that the combination of the five Ds, which is not 5G, data, diagnosis, drug, including vaccines, of course, devices and delivery, are the way to ensure that we can deliver that timely and well-substantiated patient journey solutions, if you like. And we think that the combination of these 5 Ds can really, through our partnership, enhance our understanding of complex diseases to improve primary prevention. We saw a lot of that already in IMI, but with the 5 Ds, we'll be able to bring in more information and be even more effective, identify the right tools to achieve early diagnosis in the right individuals, develop strategies to overcome therapy resistance, and everybody's thinking AMR, but not only, and ultimately really improve the quality of life of patients' experience and reported outcomes, because that's what we're all working together for. And I'm just going to take an example, asthma. I think 30 million people in Europe suffer from asthma, one of my children as well, and they're often subject to a lifetime treatment. 60% do not or poorly respond to standard steroid treatments. We really think that by combining prospectively technologies, data, products, services, IHI could help to understand and address the resistance for those who don't respond well, and offer the best combination of tools that help effectively manage asthma for children and adults. So that's one example. There are many others, of course, but that's the patient perspective. Why is it timely now? Because everybody's talked about COVID, but with we have about 8,000 treatments in our pipelines. And with the kind of breakthroughs in medical science that we're seeing coming, driven by big data, digital tools, personalized medicines, we need a European public-private partnership in health to bring together all those technologies from the life science industry, but also from the public sector, from academia, from SMEs, from patients, And really, there is this special momentum right now in Europe because of the pharma strategy. IHI is one of the flagships of the pharmaceutical strategy. We also have the industrial strategy. We have the EU for Health goals and the digital and green agendas. So it's just an ideal moment right now to make, to coalesce all that attention in the right way. And we think that partnerships such as IHI are the place to think of new solutions for patients, for society, and to have the right environment also for industry and innovation in Europe, because we were lucky to have many of those companies developing solutions for COVID-19 here, because we have this incredible innovative environment supported also by partnerships. And I think this pioneering effort is really a brave step that we're happy to take. And finally, why are we happy to take it? Because we know it works. So, public-private partnerships in health work. We have the biggest one in the world with IMI. It was said before, IMI1, IMI2. We committed 2.4 billion euros in 182 projects through those two, and 100 of which will continue even under IHI. So you can see that the science is a never-ending thing and it needs the support. Sibylla mentioned the Ebola vaccines and diagnostics, COVID-19. We also had the first ever human pancreatic beta cell line, but we also had not just products. So public-private partnerships also help us to better understand a disease, or like we had in autism, there were a lot of projects under IMI for autism, or better manage depression or asthma or obesity. Those are things that IMI did as well. It also, public-private partnerships also create infrastructures that then last in time. So it's not just a one-off. So the clinical trial networks for AMR, for example, that were built under AMR for pediatric medicines, or compound libraries and public-private discovery hubs. It's interesting how public-private partnerships also help to bringing brains and assets together. You can also modernize things. So EMA just announced its Clinical Trials Transformation Initiative, ACT EU, and that was sort of to change paradigms of clinical trials. So these things, which are corollary but so important, I think that really make a difference. And those, to give some concrete examples, there was an IMI consortium looking after the safety of medicines in pregnancy and breastfeeding. And those of us who've had children, you remember how hard it is not to be able to take anything when you don't feel well, or to aim to shorten the path to diagnosis for suffering from rare diseases. So I think, this out-of-the-box thinking can come when many fantastic brains come together who have a role and who have the same objective, which is helping patients. So we're super excited. We've committed more than 3 billion euros across 3 programs to contribute to addressing patient and societal needs. And we're looking forward to getting stuck into it, as Claire said. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Now, before I introduce my 2 excellent policy women from the European Commission and the European Parliament, let's take a look at how you, the attendees in the audience, have been voting in our poll. Now, I know there's been more than 300 people giving their views. So let's have a look. Can we see what those results have been? I know that straight out in front, I think it was the prevention of disease. 27% of you voting for that as the biggest challenge facing healthcare in the coming decade. The lowest, quite surprisingly, was only 5% saying it was patient involvement in shaping priorities. So a bit of a surprise there. Everything else was very much in the mix. Funding and financial stability, access to health and medicine, all in or around 16, 17%, digitalisation at 15%. So most people thinking prevention of disease was the most important issue and the biggest challenge. Patient involvement not seen as the biggest challenge, perhaps because we know a lot of patients already keen to get involved through their various representative bodies. Let me introduce you now. We have joining us from the European Commission's DG for Research and Innovation, Irene Norstedt, who is chair of the IHI Governing Board. Irene, thank you very much for joining us. And also from the European Parliament, MEP Maria Carvalho. Thank you very much, ladies, for being here. Maria, perhaps I'll start with you just to get our conversation going. What's your reaction to that public poll there that's rather unscientific, but certainly more than 300 people voting? I think you might be on mute.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. First, thank you for the invitation to be with you today. I have said that I'm not surprised. I think that there is a lot of pushing from the population for health prevention, for a healthy life, and also for the solutions for the disease. I think that this was already a fact, but mainly with COVID, people have realized that science and cooperation in science will give solutions for a better way to live. They will give advice what is good for your health, and also solutions for when you have medicines, therapies, when you have health problems. So I think that there is a lot of focus now on prevention and also treatments, and a lot of expectation from the public that science delivers more and more. This is a big responsibility, but also a very good thing for science that was probably never so evident like it is now, that science can give answers for the well-being of people. And I suppose this poll shows a bit of that. That is a big responsibility for the ones that are going to be in the partnerships in IHI to deliver not only for the diseases, but also for a healthy world to do the prevention of diseases.
Irene, let me bring you in. We heard from Jean-Henri Paquet at the beginning before our panel discussion, and he outlined a lot of the Commission positions. But let me ask you, you must be excited by what you've heard your co-partners saying, but I'd like you to talk a little bit about, say, the biggest evolution from IMI to IHI, and that's the technological or digitalisation drivers. What do you think they hold for us, and why is it important right now?
So thank you very much, and thank you for having me on this panel. And indeed, I've been very, very happy to hear what all our colleagues and partners of IMI are putting on the table on how they see this new partnership. We started IMI, more than 15 years ago, actually, the first discussions, and the evolution has really been fantastic. And we have seen some of the fantastic results that has come out of IMI. And now we have seen the evolution, and we have seen, and now in particular, COVID has put the spotlight on healthcare, and we have seen the needs for healthcare for evolution. We know the pressure from the economic side I'm very happy to see that prevention was one of the things that actually came out from the poll as well. And we know that we need to try to do our best to make sure that we keep people healthy with the aging population, so that those who absolutely need to have care can also get that, and that we can afford that as a society. And with the digitization, with the development of artificial intelligence, all the new science that has come on the table, a lot of disruptive technologies. We have seen mRNA coming on the table. It was, originally we have invested in that as a science for something completely different, and it could be used to help us with this COVID pandemic. And I'm sure there are many other of those type of technologies which are out there, but that we need to put all of us together, and work together to make sure that they actually come into use. We know that we have excellent science in Europe. We know that we are great at innovation. But what we need to do is that we need to make sure that we can really put it all together and bring it into healthcare in the most effective possible way. And what I'm very excited about with IHI is, first of all, to work together between all the different sectors, but also very much to come to this balance between technology push and the need pull from the users. And we talked a lot about the patients, but also the health systems. We need to have solutions which also are implementable into the health systems. And that is something I really look forward to work together to see how we can deliver that in this new partnership. So I'm really thrilled and really looking forward to work together in the coming years to make sure that this can happen.
Thank you, Irene. Indeed, we all are. Now, we have a lot of questions coming in. I already know we won't get to all of them, so I'll try to group them together and jump around a little bit between panellists. But let me say to our panellists, raise your hand if you want to add something. I think we'll start with Claire. There's been a lot of questions here on synergies and overlaps with other programmes and key digital technologies and how they will work with other programmes and what they can deliver. I also see here a question on what we think will be the role of big IT companies. Claire, perhaps you can maybe take those couple of questions together.
Oh, thank you so much for giving me the question on digital and IT. It is amazing when we look into our member companies how embedded these emerging technologies are, particularly on the IT side. You know, we talk about digitalisation, we talk about AI. These are embedded in what our companies now do. They're not an additional plugin. So, and in biotech, of course, you have the core science, but of course you need everything else around it to deliver it. So all of our members employ whatever technology it takes to develop technology forward. So we see inside the IHI partnership all of those skills necessary. So an IT companies and the IT element of biotech will play a huge role in IHI, not only for the development, you know, when you look at it, applying AI into early stage discovery and development, but also into incredibly complex and fragmented healthcare systems, which are complex and fragmented even within their own countries, let alone across all of Europe. So this is where I really see the powers being applied, because there's a huge amount of data and a huge amount of knowledge in pockets everywhere. And our challenge is to bring it together and make it all valuable. So it's not about generating more data, it's about making the most of the data that we already have. So yeah, I see a really big role for the digitalization and IT side of biotechnology.
Well, thank you, Claire. I think Serge as well, you might want to join on that question. You're on mute. Our perennial problem in this new age. You're on mute.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just want to say an interesting response here, but again, let's be very. I mean, I continue to be very concerned that we look inside ourselves. We look inside our own industry. You know, whether or not we use digital or not digital, or AI or not AI. For me, that is not the issue. The issue is how good the patient can use it. What can they benefit from all this? Look, there is a true question. In fact, there is going to be a discussion with the French presidency, I think, next week. Who are we leaving behind? Who are we leaving behind with all our technologies? Because that's one thing which is great, to be very innovative in terms of how we do things. But the problem is, if I'm concerned that we continue to look at ourselves, the question is, let's stop looking at ourselves and let's start looking at what we do and how does it transfer to patients, to healthcare professionals, and how does it really transform their lives, okay, and how they best use it. Do you think today an 85-year-old patient can use digital health? Question mark. Okay, now you can have the best and the most innovative technology.
Well, I presume it's about bringing in the support. And Bernd, I was going to come to you next. One point here that someone has raised is that doctors are key players and how can they be made more visible in the process? And I suppose maybe drawing a little bit, Serge, on your point, if there are people in danger of being left behind, it's the doctors we need to get on board as well. So Bernd, what was your point that you were going to make?
Yeah, thanks for getting me into the discussion. I also see Serge's point regarding whom are we leaving behind, and this definitely needs to be in our focus if we talk about access to care. There are still huge differences, and if we want to be able to really involve all these patient groups that are somewhat left behind, we need to stabilize and make it available throughout the healthcare systems that these patients will have access to the right technology. And digital plays a major role in order to make processes smoother, in order to focus on things that are really important, that have to be done by doctors and physicians, and other things I always like this example of counting vertebrae in digital images. Yeah, so there is no real value if doctors and nurses are doing this. This can be automated so that they can focus on more important tasks. Yeah. And of course, here we need to have the involvement of physicians and nurses, because at the end, as I mentioned during my opening remarks already, we need to assure that they adopt these kind of innovations into their daily routine and workflow. There's still kind of resistance that we see in certain areas. If we think of artificial intelligence as a black box, nobody knows the algorithm that works behind it. So there we need to assure that physicians, researchers are involved early enough in the process in order to build that trust and to ensure adoption at the end.
Well, thank you. I see here that Giovanni Nisato has mentioned that looking at the poll, prevention seems to play a key role. So, Sibylla, perhaps you could reflect on how that's going to be tackled within the IHI, the question of prevention.
I think we lost you.
Can you hear me now? I think this is a question for our technical team.
The wonders of high technology.
The wonders of high technology. Can you hear me now? Can you all hear me now? Thank you very much. Thank you to the technical team. They're working very hard behind the scenes. So, Sibylla, I was saying there that Giovanni Nisato, one of our attendees online, says that looking at the poll, prevention seems to be playing a key role. So can you talk about a little bit how that will be tackled within IHI?
Yes, thank you. So, how is this going to be tackled? I think it all depends how the prevention is going to be put in as a priority and part of the call, and how this is going to be also pushed forward in a comprehensive way. So prevention is not only prevention of one disease or with one solution, is really how we are going to embark, as I mentioned, multi solutions in with the aim to eliminate or to control dedicated infectious related disease and cancer. So it's really a matter of bringing the relevant partners together with the same goal, with the aim of the same goal, is bringing the solutions to the patient and to the citizens, because it's not only about patients, it's also about healthy people.
Natalie, let me bring you in on. There's a lot of questions regarding things like the Cancer Mission, EIT Health, the New HERA. How will these other programs across EU level and even perhaps national programs be integrated or involved, or what are the synergies that you see?
I think that the synergies have been worked out really well in this new lineup, because the pharma strategy sort of sits underneath the industrial strategy and hopefully is encompassing both the EU for health, it's encompassing IHI, also the work for the support for innovation in SMEs, which is so important for a public-private partnership. So maybe I've been working in Brussels too long, 26 years, but I see a really clear convergence. And what it looks to me like is that we're looking at all the different elements. So IHI is a partnership to look at the barriers in research and try and remove these and find new ways of doing this, or even find new products. And then you have the EU Health data space, which is focusing specifically on space. Then you have the looking into incentives for SMEs, but also for areas of unmet medical need, and an overarching pharma strategy. For me, that looks like we have all the ingredients, hopefully, to make a fantastic outcome for patients. So I'm quite optimistic, but that's my nature. that we are, the stars are well aligned.
Irene, I have a question here from Hilda Stevens saying that health and access to health and medicine is a very important challenge. And how will the IHI IP policy incorporate incentives to the partners to increase this sort of accessibility and the transfer of knowledge? I suppose the question here is about how do we foster openness?
So thank you very much. So first of all, I think what's really important, and I think that that Pierre was very clear also in his opening speech, that IHI is really about the collaboration in the pre-competitive space. So I think that is really an important reflection to be aware of. Secondly, as I also mentioned before, access is also about how can we bring innovation into healthcare. And that has to be needs driven as well. And I think several of the panelists here has alluded to that as well. And therefore, it's really important that we also have the healthcare providers. We talked about the doctor, the nurses, the patients are also part of the innovation process in defining and what are the needs and how can we deploy those. So that is really one aspect of access, which is really, really important. If we look at the partnership as such, from kind of the more legalistic part, we actually do have in the legal basis also a provision there saying that, of course, everything we invest in, the aim is really to make sure that it is accessible. But there are many layers of access, and I think I will stop at that here. But I think for me, the most important of access is really to make sure that whatever we invest in or co-invest and develop, we do that so it can be brought out into those who needs it.
Irene, thank you very much. Now, I know there's a lot of questions we haven't got to, and I am very conscious of time. We've just 5 minutes left, and I want to give time to Maria for some concluding remarks. But I will just do a quick tour de table and ask each of you for a 10 to 30 second soundbite on your aspirations or what you think the key challenge is. If you've to pick one thing out, one key message to leave our audience with as a takeaway today. Bernd, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks. 10 seconds, a real challenge. No, let's focus on the impact, on the return on investment for the EU and for the members who are contributing to it, simply because the challenges are so big, we cannot waste energy and time. Let's focus and let's deliver real results.
Thank you. Serge, perhaps your final few seconds remarks.
I would like just to echo Irene here, which is, look, it's great to research new solution, new innovation, and so on. What we see as being one of the major challenges to give access to these to patients. That's what is sometimes one of the major issues. So I would hope that IHI will focus a lot on trying to make sure that people have access to all these incredible innovation that we have, whether it's pharma, vaccine, medical device, in vitro diagnostics test, whatever it is. Let's make sure that we have access to that, because otherwise we're just looking at ourselves again, looking at our own, world, and that is not what I hope is going to be IHI. IHI should be really, really patient, healthcare professional, healthcare system focused.
Well, thank you. Claire, a final closing remark?
I think I echo many people when say I really want IHI to leverage the immense power of collaboration across Europe. It's what motivated me to become a broad European at the very start of my career, when you see what can be achieved by many different people working together. And this extends across the scientific disciplines, but as Serge said, right into the patients. This is for all of us to contribute into so that the benefits are felt by us as citizens, but also Europe's economy as it develops and modernizes. So we're really looking forward to it.
Thank you. Sibylla.
Yes, I cannot echo more than what was said, but I think it is really about ensuring that we break all the potentially remaining silos that are remaining among the different sectors to work together and to really break those walls that are also remaining in the healthcare system sectors to ensure access. There shouldn't be any barriers to access for the citizens and the patients. And by working together, we can put down the remaining walls and silos. So that's really my hope.
Thank you very much. Natalie, your 30-second elevator pitch.
What can I add? I think everybody said everything I would have said, and the point is patience. We all have that in common. We're looking to see how this new scheme can give us the flexibility to be able to deliver on what the expectations, and then learning by doing in an even bigger group. I think we're all set now. We just have to get stuck in.
Irene, you're chair of the governing board and you're in the unenviable position of having to go last. I think probably everything important has been said by your colleagues, but your last few remarks.
Yeah, thank you. So indeed, I think everything has been said, but just if I can wrap up from my side, I think it's really about working together to bring the best technology and science together to solve the real challenges that we have in health and healthcare today, and also to put Europe on the map as the best sort of innovation spot in the world. I think that is really what I would like to see IHI bring.
Thank you very much.